which platform to go for. I always pick the wrong one, then sit there like an idiot on the train for an extra 5 minutes while the other one leaves. I mean, at least the trains are quick. I can't really complain. With buses, it's much worse. Do you know that feeling when you're standing at a bus stop and your bus just isn't coming, and it's raining and you're cold, but then you see one that's going to a place that's kinda nearby and you could walk the last bit, so then it's a game of will I, won't I? Well, this was me last week. The bus pulled up and everyone flocked to it, and I'm watching all these people getting on and wishing I lived in West Norwood and not Brixton, so that I could take the 58 as well, rather than wait for the 59 that I needed. I think peer pressure really contributes, you know. Anyway, as I said, I live in Brixton, which in theory is not that far to walk, so I thought, sod it, I'll take the 68, because I am also a little bit impatient. So, I get on the bus, and as I'm walking down the aisle, I can see out of the back window a 59 driving up the road. I look like an idiot banging on the bus door to be let off, and by the time the driver did it, the 59 had driven away. Absolute melon. And I only have my indecisiveness to blame. I'm really indecisive. Don't ever ask me what takeaway we should get or what pub we should go to. It will take me a week to work out my answer. I'd much rather take the general consensus than have to choose.
Stand clear of the closing doors. This is a Victoria Line train to Walthamstow Central. The next station is Stockwell. Doors will open on the right hand side.
See, an all-time first for me, I picked the right train. You know, there's this great thing with being on the tube where I'm just disconnected from the outside world. You know, it's the perfect opportunity to get some peace and quiet. You know, it should be pretty speedy in the Victoria Line, but it isn't half loud. I can hardly hear myself think on this train. I am going up to Hampstead. Oh, I know, mega fancy.
The next station is Stockwell. Doors will open on the right hand side. Change for the Northern Line.
Sorry, I didn't realise I was shouting. Clearly the Victoria Line was a mistake. Maybe it's worth getting off here and getting the Northern Line all the way. I mean, it would take longer. Oh, I cannot hear myself think on this train. I can't say. Okay, get it together. You can get off this train.
This is a Northern Line train to Edgware via Bank. The next station is Oval.
Oh, that's much better. I can hear myself think now. Hopefully I won't keep Ayla waiting. Ayla is my big sister. She is 4 years older than me and I admire her so much. But she's my favourite person and always will be. She's held my hand through everything. Getting my ears pierced, my bad Nat 5 results, my first heartbreak. Still crushed about you, Nathan. And I just love her to bits. I've always been a little jealous of her, as I think all siblings are. And I've always secretly hoped that maybe she was jealous of me too. I mean, I didn't need braces, for one. But I think I have spent most of my adult life trying to mimic her successes. Fresh out of uni with a first class degree in economics, she got a job in private equity and moved to London with her boyfriend, Freddie. See, when I first met Freddie, I thought he seemed even more perfect than Isla. Except he is English, so I did have to knock a few points for that. His family have lived in West London for generations. I think his parents work in property or something. But he is worlds away from us and Glasgow. It was almost like a fairy tale. Although he did go to an all-boys boarding school growing up, so again, knocks a few points off my ranking. Freddie never wanted to stay in Scotland, and Isla seemed more than happy to follow him down to London once she graduated. I saw a lot less of her after that. Mostly just holidays and special occasions. He proposed to her on Christmas Day while we were opening our presents. And I will say, that is probably the only time I haven't been jealous of Isla, because personally, the only thing worse than a Christmas proposal is the Eiffel Tower or Disneyland. Way to make a family day all about you. But my big sister was getting married, and I was 23 and single, still living at home, trying to copy her and find a job in London so that we could be reunited. I applied for anything and everything, but it was all in vain. See, when I was fresh out of uni, I thought the world was my oyster. Unfortunately, it was the stale oyster that gives you the runs for a week, not the one with the pearl inside.
This is oval. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
I couldn't decide what was right for me. So in the end, I did a panic PGCE and became a geography teacher at a school in South London. Yay! It's not what I dreamed of, but I was always good at geography, and teaching is a great profession. I mean, you're helping children, so it's still impressive, right? I mean, to be fair, sometimes I'm anxious I'm not actually helping them. Last week, Tommy Clark said that Hong Kong is a continent. I bit my tongue while all the other kids laughed and tried not to think if I was to blame because I had been teaching them since September. The teaching isn't all bad. Right, the people are lovely and it can be really rewarding. But it would be nice not to be slumming it with stinky Year 9 boys who think Bangkok is the funniest word ever. So I've lost my train of thought. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Isla's wedding. On their wedding day, my mum sobbed through half the ceremony and through all the speeches, where she was gloating to all my relatives about Isla's job or the new flat that she and Freddie had just put the deposit down for. My auntie Linda gave me a sympathetic smile when her husband Dave asked what had happened to my old boyfriend Peter. I had decided we weren't compatible because Peter still kissed his mum on the lips at the age of 24. When my dad did his speech, he said, Isla has never let us down. First in her family to go to university, and she got into Edinburgh no less.
And then met lovely Freddie, who is like the son we always wanted, even if he is English. Welcome to the family, son. Isla, you shine so brightly with all your successes, and your mother and I are so blessed to have watched you grow up. We are so proud of you. To Isla and Freddie.
Isla and Freddie. And I'm just sitting there, 5 Prosecco's in, thinking, have you ever been proud of me? In fact, after Prosecco number 8, I straight up asked my mum, and do you know what she said? Stop being so dramatic. We were so proud of you when? And then she had to think for a minute. We were so proud of you that time you got top marks in your P6 spelling exam. You worked so hard on that test. Right. Had they not been proud of me since I was 9? But the word was sufficient. Sufficient. which is slightly ironic in hindsight. I have always been sufficient.
The next station is Elephant Castle. Change here for the Bakerloo line and National Rail services.
The rest of the day was really lovely, though. I got to be a bridesmaid, which was fun, and my mum couldn't tell me off for having 2 slices of cake because we were at different tables. She did listen up eventually, though, and she, Isla, and I danced to our favourite song, Made Into You by Mazzy Star. Anyway, that is Isla. She is brilliant, but so hard to live up to. And this is her story.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
This is a Northern Line service to Edgware. The next station is Borough.
It's only about 8:30 a.m. and I have already seen 12 of these Uniqlo bags, 3 copies of the latest Sally Rooney novel, and 5 women doing their makeup on the tube. These women amaze me. Is it millennial to call them girl bosses? I wish I was good at makeup. See, most days I just hope that my trend-stretch skincare routine will be sufficient. Ayla introduced me to retinol at 25 and I have never looked back. Although it does still seem to burn my face. But this morning my flatmate Jodie was hogging the shower. See, it seemed she needed to listen to the entirety of Ed Sheeran's Divide album. You know, the blue one, before she could rinse her conditioner out, so I didn't have as much time. Hopefully no one can tell I'm just wearing a bit of pink Vaseline. But anyone who can do liner on a shaky tube is a goddess. There's 2 women doing their makeup down the carriage. They're both really beautiful and skillful. I think they're called Aaliyah and Halima. And they are best friends, or cousins, or both. Halima is taller and she is currently attaching false lashes. It is art. Now Leah has this really nice sort of blusher on, sort of a pinky red, and she seems to be glowing. They're both wearing really beautiful dresses as well. Halima's is green and Alea's is a midnight blue. Wonder where they're going? Some sort of party or celebration? Anyway, like I said, I could never do my eyebrows on the tube. I'm not coordinated enough. And you might be thinking, these aren't women to be impressed by. They couldn't get up early enough to do their makeup at home. But you'd be wrong. Because do you know what these women were doing at 6 a.m. when I was still snoozing my alarm? Running. I haven't run since sports day when Mr. McDougall told me that I was a disappointment because I came 6th in the 400 metres. But these career women fascinate me. With their, I want to be the kind of woman who can get up, do my half marathon training, drink a green juice, blow dry my hair, all before making the tube for work at 7:30. And then they get to the office and they thrive. They're driven and successful and always seem to be getting promoted. I think Aaliyah and Halima are getting off here. I hope they have a fun day.
This is Borough.
Isla has a book club with some of her friends. I go sometimes, and last time we were talking about The Bell Jar. I had read it before, See, Ayla got me a copy for my birthday when I turned 18. It was one of her favourites, so naturally, I copied it, and it became mine too. We spent a lot of the session talking about a passage about a fig tree being a metaphor for indecision and the desperation to pursue your desires. Esther, the protagonist, describes all of life's opportunities as stretching out in front of her like a fig tree, and each fruit represents something that she wants. One is managing a family, one is success, one is fame, and so on. But the crux is, if she eats one fig, the rest will shrivel up and die, so she can never be satisfied. But in the end, turns out she's just hungry, so she eats and doesn't worry about the figs anymore. During the book club, one of the questions was, what would be on your fig tree? One of Ayla's friends, Amelia, said,
Well, I would have a happy marriage with 3 little darlings and a cottage in the Cotswolds. There's probably a chalet in the Alps. One is quitting my job and becoming a fashion blogger, and one is retiring early to the south of France.
I don't think Amelia really got the exercise. But I did, because I'm indecisive. I worry about figs all the time. In my journal, I keep a note of my figs, a bit like a bucket list. And I feel this strange sense of accomplishment whenever I think I've eaten more than one fig. I am greedy and gluttonous. I want them all. I want a stable career that fulfills me emotionally and financially. I want a loving relationship. I want to spend quality time with my friends. I want to pursue new hobbies and learn the flute. I want to be the kind of woman who gets up and goes for a run before work. I want my family Christmas newsletter to say something other than she's still living in London and won't come home to Glasgow, and she's teaching geography, and she managed to complete level 4 French Duolingo this year. I am ravenous. I am starving. I feel like I can really relate to Esther's frustrations in the novel. See, last year I realised that some of my figs had rotted. See, my dream job was always to be a Blue Peter presenter. See, when I was 7, every Thursday, I'd come home and I'd watch Helen Skelton, and I desperately wanted to be just like her. Then I opened my BBC News app last month to find that they just found their newest presenter, an overly friendly looking 24-year-old, beaming because she had just secured the greatest job in the world. And I cried. The juiciest fig on the tree had rotted, and I hadn't even noticed. That could have been me. But no, I'm stuck in a damp classroom, overworked and underpaid. God, being a woman is so fucking hard. Now, being in your 20s is basically impossible, and I don't see how everyone else seems to be coping.
This is London Bridge. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform. Change for the Jubilee line and National Rail services.
Don't know where that came from. I think I just mean that men don't have to worry about only choosing one path. It is normal for them to put career first. But I don't know why I'm shouting or swearing either. God, is it hot in here? They don't knock these, they hold everything.
This is to Edgware. The next station is Bank.
Let's do something fun. Break this tension. I love people watching. Now, I often sit and imagine the lives of the other people on the train when I'm bored. I'm really good at it. Like, that woman down there looks just like Michelle. She's late 40s, early 50s. She's wearing a knitted cardigan with an elegant blouse underneath, some jeans and some Merrill sandals. She's greying gracefully, her hair is almost silver. She looks friendly. She's got a kind smile and she is reading a book about walking routes in the Yorkshire Dales. Michelle looks nice. I think she works in a research lab, has a husband and 3 children, and likes to spend her weekends escaping London and going to the countryside. I think she is on the PTA for a children's primary school. And I think she's allergic to kiwis. God, I am good at this. How about her? She can hardly keep her eyes open. Maybe she's a late one. Although, she's in fairly comfy clothes, and she's not got any mascara around her eyes or messy hair like your classic walk of shame. Hang on, we have just stopped at London Bridge, so she must work at Guy's Hospital. She's just finished her night shift. She's a bit older, 60s or so. I think she's called Angela, and she works in a cancer ward. Maybe she's a nurse. It's early. She looks tired. I can hardly imagine what she has to experience every day at work. Just getting a packed dinner out of her bag. She deserves more than cold ragu. Actually, I think I was wrong before. She's not a nurse, she's a doctor. I want to go and hug her. She reminds me a bit of my mum. I don't think I want to play anymore. I'll continue the story.
This is Bank. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform. Change here for the Circle, Central, District, Waterloo and City lines and the DLR.
Last month, I went to Isla and Freddie's housewarming. They've just moved to a 3-bed in Hampstead because they are ready to start having children. Freddie was promoted last year and he has been saving for a deposit ever since. It is a gorgeous house. 3 stories, big windows, even a little patio and garden at the back. Sure does make me feel sorry for myself in my Brixton box room. After being cornered by my mother, the 20 minutes of an uncomfortable conversation about an Ofsted visit to the school I have coming up, I find myself talking to 3 of Isla's new friends, Tilly, Chloe and Clementine. They're sort of friends through marriage. I like to think that she wouldn't be friends with them if it weren't for Freddie. It just seems so unlike her to be spending time with them. Just for some context, after Clementine graduated, she did a ski season, then a 16-month trip around Southeast Asia and Australia, before moving back to London and getting a job at her parents' law firm. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't like like Isla's friends. But they are just so out of touch with the real world. Any conversation with them is so painful. Remember what Amelia's figs were again? Yeah, these ladies are even more extreme. We were talking about Tilly's son, Hugo. See, Tilly left Edinburgh, married her Christian boyfriend, James, who works with Freddie. Then they settled in Radlett, and Hugo popped along 7 months later. Then we were talking about Tilly's son, Hugo. Hugo is a little shit. I babysat once, and I took him to the park with his friends, and then he pushed another child over in the playground because they went down the slide first, and then he kicked a pigeon for fun. Tilly blamed the other parent for having a selfish child and reminded me that pigeons are gammy and gross and that it probably deserved it. I digress. We were talking about how Tilly's son Hugo had some problems at school, and Tilly had had a really very tough parents' evening.
Honestly, it was really very tough. I have never felt so bullied by so many horrid teachers in my life. I can only imagine what it's like for Hughie every day there. Apparently, he has been very challenging to teach, and we need to get him support to curb his violent outbursts. Well, it's certainly not our fault that he is so enthusiastic about history that he can't help reenacting Waterloo in the playground at lunchtime, isn't it?
How awful, Tills. Really, they should be celebrating his enthusiasm, not shunning it.
Thank you. Poor Hugo has really had it very hard at that school. And James and I are seriously considering pulling him out and moving him to Hendon Prep ahead of senior school, like Waterloo.
Well, Timothy has been loving it. They have small class sizes, and the teachers really know their place.
Honestly, I think these teachers are just bored of their sad, dreary lives. It must be a horrible profession. Teaching children a future as bright than your own. I mean, how do you find it?
Well, to be honest, I would suggest maybe having Hugo take an ADHD assessment. Look, most parents find it easier to help their kids when they can understand them a bit better. Clearly, this was the wrong thing to say. Tilly looked on the verge of tears, and I'm still reeling that I managed to put my foot in it, but it was completely fine for her to say that to me. I spoke to Isla afterwards about how hurt I was by her friend's comments and how no one stood up for me or called Tilly out on her bullshit. And do you know what she said? Well, Tills has been going through it at the moment. James is still going through his tribunal at work for false accounting, and I think they're both finding it tough. Excuse me? How was my sister not supporting me here? And instead, backing her bratty friend with a criminal husband? It stung. A lot. And it was made even more difficult because now I had to process that my sister was perhaps imperfect. You know, for the first time, I didn't want to be her. I wanted to be as far away from that mindset as possible, and as far away from her as possible. How could she not support me? And then that got me thinking back to Esther and the bell jar and all those figs, and suddenly I didn't like Esther either. I mean, here's a woman feeling so hard done by because she is so privileged that she is lumped with the choice of being a mother a successful career woman, famous, or travelling the world. And God forbid having such a challenging decision to make. In 1953, any woman would have been lucky to have a choice beyond what was necessary to survive. Esther was so privileged. And so was Tilly. And so was Isla. And so am I. I can complain all I want about being indecisive, but at least there is a decision I get to make about my life and what I do. I've spent so long being indecisive about figs that I haven't ever really realised how lucky I am. And I can be a teacher and I can travel. Perk of the 6-week summer break.
This train is ready to leave. Please mind the doors. Please stand clear.
There's a pregnant mother down the carriage. She's got 2 other children with her, both presumably under 10. One of them's definitely not in school yet. Mothers are really complicated. I feel like I spent so many of my teenage years resenting my mum, telling her I hated her, and I just wish I could take it all back. But she might have been tough on me. She might have complained about my school results and unfairly compared me to Isla's achievements. But she was just tough because she cared about me and my successes. In some strange, twisted way, I think her love language is the opposite of words of affirmation. Mothers are amazing. They carry a life inside them for 9 months, and then they raise real, living people. But people really respect mothers. As soon as that lady got on down there, someone stood up to give her a seat. She's probably mid-30s, and she is glowing. She looks so happy and full of life that I'm gonna call her Joy. Her kids seem very sweet. One boy, I'm calling him Tammy, and a girl, Blessing. She seems like a blessing. They're doing a puzzle book together. Well, Tammy's doing the puzzles and Blessing is watching, but he's showing her his work. And Joy's smiling at them. But despite the hard work that 2 young children and a third on the way might bring, she looks so put together. Her braids are neat, she's got her makeup done. She doesn't look hot or flustered like you might imagine. She looks radiant. And she's doing a Sudoku on her phone. It's kind of sweet how she does puzzles, and so do Tammy and Blessing. It's really heartwarming watching them. Trying not to get broody myself. I think children can have that effect sometimes. Mothers. Wonder Woman. The true superheroes of society. I hadn't spoken to Isla since our argument, but she called me last night, crying. She is pregnant. At first I couldn't work out why she was upset. It's what her and Freddie have been wanting for ages, but it's all kicked off apparently. See, when we had our fight, she told me that Tilly's husband, James, had a tribunal at work for false accounting, and I wondered why she had been sticking up for them and their fraudulent schemes. But turns out, Freddie has been complicit in something similar, and he is currently on an extended leave from work. I should have realised. Both James and Freddie have worked together for a while now, and both of them seemed quite agitated at the housewarming. I thought Freddie was just worried someone might damage a painting or something, but it was much bigger than that. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Ayla has been very discreet about it all, of course, but I do know it's really upset her. He's clearly broken her trust. And he's also scuppered their plans for a holiday to the Maldives this summer. She kept saying to me on the phone, how can I have a baby with someone that I don't trust? Someone that's been lying to me? And who do I have to support me now? All my friends are Freddie's. This is the loneliest I've felt in years. She's scared she's losing everything. But she hasn't lost me. She never had. So, I am taking her out for a girls' day to take her mind off it. It's kind of nice that she finally needs her little sister. I've missed her so much. And I'm going to tell her everything I learned about independence, about women being brilliant, and how much I love her.
This is Hampstead. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
And I can appreciate that my relationship with Ayla has not always been as perfect as I've imagined it to be sometimes. But it does feel so good to be spending time with her again. Properly. Like it used to be. Crap, this is my stop. There's just one more thing I feel like I need to do. Hi Mum, it's me. Just in Hampstead just now, about to see Ayla at her bump. And it's got me thinking about you and how wonderful you are. I'm sorry I can be difficult sometimes. I know it's because you care that you're so tough. I hope I can be as tough as you one day. I know Ayla will be. But we have each other, so we will be even stronger together. Send my love to Dad, and I hope you have a lovely day. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. I love you. Bye.